Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Point and Click. I guess we could consider this our Halloween special, somewhat. I am Adam Razak,
And I am Jordan C. Johnson.
and today we are going to be discussing the Season 1 finale of The Walking Dead, No Time Left.
Yes.
So, how did you feel about it this time around?
I think this is the one episode of this season so far that I feel pretty much no reservations about that come to mind immediately. I will say, I mean, it's some of the other episodes I played, right before we recorded, so they're a little like they're right there, fresh, and some of those frustrations were also fresh. This one, I gave it a couple weeks. But I played it like right after we recorded the last episode. I've let it sit for a while, which I think is probably a good sign because I've actually wanted to get to this one. But I think the positives just really outweigh anything negative I could say about this by a lot. And I think this is easily the best episode of the season, having replayed now.
I think more of my problems with this episode are more nitpicky. Like, they don't really influence my overall appreciation for this particular episode. It's not like the last one where I have so many caveats about it that it just puts a stain on my potential overall enjoyment. But this one, it's just a smooth ride from beginning to end, as far as I'm concerned.
There's I think knowing that Lee is pretty much on his last legs gives this episode a rhythm and a pace and an urgency that you just push forward, and it feels like a lot of those problems with sequences where you're just kind of dilly-dallying and wasting time, it feels like sometimes in the previous episodes, which we've talked about, are much less prevalent because you just don't have the time for it.
Also, I guess what you could label as puzzles, it's like the solutions are so blindingly obvious and in front of you and it takes so little time to get to them that it just moves the plot right along to get to the really, really good stuff.
Like using the ladder to get to the bell tower and all that shit. Yeah.
Finding the rib cage opener to open the elevator.
Yeah.
Which
unnecessary but quick at least.
Yeah. So, I guess the first question I have to ask is, did you keep Lee's arm or cut that thing off?
I cut it off in both playthroughs, actually.
Yeah, same. Yeah. The 3 times I played through this, every time I hack that thing right off.
The funny thing is, I know it's not going to make a difference. Yeah. So I don't really know why I keep doing it, but, well, I did it.
It's almost like a set piece moment for me.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
It's pretty gross.
It's intense. Yeah. I think this episode for me would have a slightly less impact if I didn't cut Lee's arm off, because it would just be, we got to get out of here. No, don't cut the arm off, and then it just moves on. It doesn't have that really strong opening moment where it's like walking along and being like, oh yeah, my arm's eventually going to get infected. I don't think is nowhere near as exciting as let's cut this thing off and go through this entire interactive moment of doing that. And it's just, wow. What an intro.
Yeah. And we've talked about Telltale's handling of violence, and it's pretty fucking brutal in this sequence. I think you're hearing like the saw like go through the bone and stuff, and I was like, oh.
Well, I love how like even like they've done before in this season where you're gonna try to say something, but the game will just interrupt you, and or either you're just in so much pain that the words don't even come out, which reflects real life experience. I would hope. I don't want to personally experience that, but to find out. But I'm gonna take the game's word for it that's pretty much what it's like. Something interesting that I discovered while going through some of my old Facebook posts is I made a comment. I think you and I were talking about my lowered opinion on season 2 of The Walking Dead, and I came across a comment where I said something along the lines of that this season explores the reason that a lot of the choices are so funneled is that it explores this theme of futility. And I'm trying to remember why I said that, because I don't agree with that at all anymore. I'm trying to think, why did I say that? Because going through this whole season, I'm just like, no, that could have been changed. That could have easily have been expanded into something else. But I don't know. It was just a weird little, like, why did I say that? Well, what made me think that?
Because you're trying to excuse the shitty funneling they did in the season.
I guess so. It was just a weird little comeuppance. It was a little weird discovery.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to season 2, which from what I remember, I think. I mean, we'll see as we go through, but
Sure.
my immediate reaction is to say I think season 2 is a lot better than this season.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Again, besides the first episode, which we'll talk about, but yeah.
I still include the first episode as like maybe my favorite. No, it's my second favorite from what I remember.
See, I think that first episode is close to being Telltale's worst episode. Period.
Ugh. I'd say either like one of the Minecraft episodes is their worst. Well, you haven't played the one where it's like they get the whole cast of Minecraft YouTube celebrities, which is just
Jesus.
Oh my god, which you'll be like begging for. Season 2 episode 1 before that shit comes out. You'll be like, no, I'll take the fucking have to go through the house and sneak through all that over, I don't know, Stampy and some blue-haired chick arguing over some stupid murder mystery. It's bullshit. That's frankly, it's bullshit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this episode, I think it really just, it cuts a lot of the bullshit out. And it's not just the puzzles and time-wasting stuff that we've complained about for, the first 4 episodes. But it's just I think emotionally and in terms of just the momentum of the whole thing, there's there really just is no time for a shit. So it's just, you're basically, like, you just feel like you're just moving forward at in this sort of inevitable narrative, and you basically know, like, I'm going to die, and it creates I don't know if you like, I wouldn't say futility, but it creates this sense of just inevitability. And it's interesting because by the end of it became kind of an emotional roller coaster for me, because at first my reaction is sort of like, well, why are we even doing this? Like, I'm going to die soon anyway. Like, I don't know. It took me on this sort of philosophical journey where at first when you realize Lee's about to die, like, part of me was just like, well, I mean, fuck it. Why even do anything? Just kill yourself. Like, it's over, And then, but the second you meet Clementine again, that kind of all goes out the window, and you're like, oh, this is why I had to do this. I do not feel those hopeless feelings anymore.
It paces it very well. Like, it mixes a lot of the exposition moments, the hard-hitting moments, and the action in a way that creates this really tight, intense, cohesive whole. And like you said, a very emotional roller coaster where it doesn't feel like one element outweighs the other. Like, it doesn't have a thing where it focuses so much on puzzles or it focuses so much on dialogue. It's just it like trades it off constantly, so it never feels like you're bored or you're staying on one thing for too long, which I think is a big problem with this season. But I think this is the one episode that really nails that balance between the action, the exposition, and the light puzzle element shit.
Yeah, it's lighter on the shitty aspects, basically.
Yeah. Pretty much. It's like Telltale was like, oh, you don't like that other crap from these last 4 episodes? Pfft, we're not going to include that. Don't worry about that, guys.
It's almost more like they realize that it's not appropriate for this, the tone of this episode, because it's a heavy episode. I feel like heavier than the first 4. And yeah, there's just it doesn't seem appropriate to be like dicking around with puzzles and stuff when you're trying to save Clementine from whoever the fuck this lunatic is, and and dying in the process.
Yeah, they're wise enough not to include that one big, long, extended puzzle thing. Like if you have to get on a bus to go drive over to the Marsh house or whatever, it's just we got to get there. Time is against us. Move, 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 and I'm like. Cool. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. I think a highlight for me is toward the end when, you're crossing that sign and it breaks and Lee just says, fuck it. And well, I guess you can decide to make him say fuck it. I don't know what the other options are. But you just basically just slice your way through this horde, just basically having given up at that point. You're like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it. This is it. And it's sort of a great cap on the sort of emotional arc of this episode and season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I will get to the final scene.
Sure.
Eventually, but yeah. I really liked that moment when they are stuck in that one. I think it's a hotel. It's either a hotel or a house, and you just see the two people in the bed that have killed themselves. And it's like these last few episodes have just been kind of like, let's see how much we can like prod Kenny into feeling emotion over the loss of his wife and kid. Like he's trying to hold it in, and yet it's like the thing with the kid in the basement in episode 4, and now with the family dying, it's like this is kind of his breaking point. Like as Lee, I remarked that they did the right thing. They made it their own way how they wanted to go out in this world. And Kenny's like, no, that's bullshit. They could have done more. And he just goes on this tirade about it. And it's him finally, I think, willing to not exactly embrace, but willing to feel like sorrow and grief and all that. And I think that's a really interesting ending for Kenny's arc through these last few episodes.
Sure. How did you feel about Kenny's end in this episode?
I think that, to me, I'm just more like, okay, I'll see you in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember, do they explain how he got out of that?
They do. It's basically along the lines of, he managed to escape, and then he was on his own for a very long time.
He just managed to escape.
He just magically escapes, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I actually, like, we've talked about how, say, like Ben will do something really stupid, and it will piss off the whole group. But I feel like the one time someone does something really small and stupid is when Kenny taps you on the shoulder as a pat on the back, and then you drop the radio in surprise in the fucking hole. And I'm like, okay, that was dumb, but I can see how that can happen in real life. I can see how somebody can make that relatively minor, but in this case fatal mistake to do something like that. And I dug it. I liked how something so small and petty like that was able to just turn into this huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different because, I mean, there's no motivation to understand behind it. It's just an accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Ben's more like you have to kind of be like, okay, I can sort of understand his motivations. I mean, until he becomes just a fucking moron. But yeah.
But yeah, really great episode so far. I mean, it's might be close to the best one that we've talked about. I'm not sure. I'd have to, because I'm still measuring it up to Starve for Help. I'm trying to think which one is better.
Yeah, I won't reveal until the end.
Okay. I'm trying to actively think if there are any like big problems I have with this episode aside from I know what's going to happen. That's really the only thing I can think of that's
I'm trying to remember
really
like if anything bugged me playing this one like it did with the first 4, but I don't think so. I don't remember having anything stick out as, bothering me or taking me out of the narrative. It went by smoothly for this one.
Even the shooting section, I feel like didn't overstay its welcome and wasn't complete crap like it was in the other episodes. It was relatively responsive, and they got that shit out of the way real quick. And there was a good solid build up to that last stand moment, and I think that lent it a lot more gravitas than I usually would associate with the shooting sections in this game.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know how quickly we want to get to the ending. I feel like it's a little tricky because I feel like most of this episode is just a prelude to that. Yeah. It seems like not a lot really happens on the way. It's just kind of an extended journey. So it really, I mean, the meat is all at the end.
I don't know. I was kind of a little disappointed, I guess, with the portrayal of the guy. I don't even know his name. I don't even know if they gave him a name, but like the guy that he's like, he kidnaps Clementine. I mean, which is, you know, terrible, and I want to kick his ass for that. But I was a little disappointed that they do make him mentally ill, I guess, in the long run. I didn't really remember that he had like his, I think it was dead wife's head in the bag. Yeah. And I'm a little disappointed that they decided to go that route rather than somebody who was a sound mind, who had legitimately good reasons for, in his mind had genuine reasons to kidnap Clementine and bring Lee here to confront him, which from his standpoint, especially if you stole the supplies from the car, I can understand how he'd be furious with Lee. But even if you don't, it still happens, and it's because he's just crazy. And it's I don't know. I don't find that as interesting as somebody that is of sound mind that would have a legitimately plausible excuse to kidnap Clementine.
I feel like he does have a legitimate reason to do that, and I don't really agree that he is crazy. I can see what you're saying, and that would bother me too if I felt like they played it off, you know, kind of easily like that, where his character is just a lunatic, so it's easy to just forget what he's saying. But I don't know if he goes that far. I think he's clearly broken and damaged and emotionally and mentally destroyed because of what happened to his family, which is understandable. So he's unstable for sure, but I don't think he's a lunatic, and I think his grievances are legitimate, even if at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to let him do it, and I don't agree with what he's doing.
Sure.
But like, I believe that he believes it, and I think he has a point to make, even if I think he's wrong.
I just feel like the inclusion of him having the dead wife's head in the bag, it's like Telltale trying to kind of come up with like giving you an excuse after all this, like him confronting you about all the choices that you've made, especially if you've made some of the more, you know, like morally gray ones. It's like, I feel like it's kind of a cop out. Like it's like this confrontation, and then it makes you like examine yourself, but then to have it where it's revealed, oh, he is mentally unstable, he has his dead wife's head in the bag, it's kind of like they're giving you kind of an easy way out of really reflecting on yourself, and I'm kind of disappointed by that. It doesn't bother me to like the extent of other stuff in this series, but I think they could have taken it a little bit further with being more self-reflective of the terrible stuff that you've done, or potentially done. But I guess that would be like my one minor gripe with this episode.
And that's fair. I could totally understand that. For me, the head in the bag is more just a way to hammer home how, you know, destroyed he is, and the effects of what your group's actions had on him. I mean, yeah, at that point, I mean, the thing about it is, though, it's a little tricky too, because it's sort of like, I mean, that was sort of an indirect consequence of the actions, because he basically said, like, it wasn't that they just died, it was that they lost faith in him and left, and it sounded like there was a history there, and there was some, you know, tension in his family leading up to that anyway. Yeah. So it's sort of like he was using that a little bit as a scapegoat. But yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of that.
But yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm trying to actively avoid talking about the finale until like the end.
We
But
can do it.
Fuck it. All right.
This is where it's all going. Like,
yeah.
it has to. So, okay, I guess the first question is, did you kill the guy or not?
I had Clementine killed the guy.
Oh, okay, see, that did not happen in mine. So how did it play out in yours exactly then?
Mine, it was Clementine managed to sneak out of the room. I think she grabbed an item and like hit him on the back of the head, and I managed to get the upper hand. And then he got the upper hand. He got me on the ground, started choking me, and then Clementine shoots him in the head and kills him.
Interesting. Yeah, that did not happen for me. And mine, she got out. She grabbed the meat cleaver and hit him in the shoulder with it.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we just kind of wrestled, and he did not get the upper hand. So he got kind of wrestled into submission, and then I eventually just shot him in the head after he was already down.
Interesting. I wonder what the fork in the road is for getting that kind of that scenario.
I wonder, was it the cleaver that Clementine used for yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder what it is then. I don't know.
It might be if you didn't take her to Crawford.
No, I didn't.
That might be the fork in the road. Because if you trained her to use a gun and then took her to Crawford, that might be the experience that she needed to pull the trigger and kill the guy.
Huh. Interesting.
I'll have to look that up. But I have a reasonable suspect that that's how you trigger it.
I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, because it's more interesting that you get the choice whether or not to kill him. I mean, by the time I killed him, the fight was over. He lost, and I was there with the gun, and I didn't have to do it, but I did.
And then all that just leads to one goddamn emotional gut punch after another, culminating in probably like one of the most heartbreaking finales I have ever seen in a game. And no matter how many times I see it, it still just gets me weepy.
It's weird, because the first time I played this season, I mean, it's a sad scene, but it didn't get to me in that way. And I wasn't expecting it to this time, because this playthrough, I feel like I felt a little detached because the flaws had been so glaring and had taken me out of it to such an extent that I was having a little trouble getting invested.
Sure.
But I think part of it is with just, again, as I mentioned, sort of that emotional weight involved in this episode, and finding Clementine again and realizing why you were doing what you're doing. And then, that all just kind of came to a head. And it really got to me this time around.
I think it's the way that she, like, especially if you tell her that you need, like, if you give her the choice to, tell her to shoot you. I never want to find out what happens if you leave her, because I think that would just be, I mean, if you leave
I left her the first time.
Oh, you left Lee the first time?
Yeah, I did not have her shoot me.
Okay.
And this time I changed it up. I was going to do it again, but no, I made her shoot me this time.
So what's the final exchange if you leave him, if you remember?
So it's pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is when you have her shoot you, it ends with a shot of her firing the gun and it cuts to black.
Yeah.
If you don't have her shoot you, she walks out past the zombie, walks up the stairs. You watch her walk away, and then Lee's head just kind of drops like he's dead, and then it cuts to black.
See,
so I think the shooting is more satisfying.
Yeah, it's more of a gut punch than just walking away and leaving him there.
And it's not so much just that it's a gut punch, but it's a culmination, like it's a close of an arc, because you've been teaching her to take care of herself, and that, I mean, if you've been playing it that way anyway, where you're teaching her how to shoot and teaching her, you have to shoot them in the head, you can't treat them as people and have attachments to them. They're not the people anymore.
Sure.
So you kind of make her. You kind of have to put that money where your mouth is, you know what I mean, at the end, and say, all right, this is it, you have to shoot me because this is what I've been teaching you.
Yeah. It's the way, too, that she just begs and pleads and is like, no, please don't die. Please don't die. I can take care of you. We can get better. And it's just, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's just, Ugh.
That's
It's like,
rough.
yeah, and it's again, it's a credit to these actors that they're able to pull this off really, really fucking well with this material, which is already great by itself, but getting the right voice actors was like key to this scene, and they just nail it the whole way through. I also really like the little detail of after the guy dies, the camera is positioned in a way where it's like the usual like shot reverse shot where it's them talking and then it will cut to Clementine facing away, cut to Lee facing the corner. But the one time that it cuts to Clementine facing the camera directly is her saying thank you. And I thought that was a really interesting little detail where it, I guess, could like subtly bring you in more. Like you actually are being personally thanked as a player for saving this little girl, and it's something I'd never noticed until this playthrough.
Sure.
And I was like, wow, that I it's a testament. Like I completely didn't notice it the second time, but the third time I was like, that is cool. That's a little thing that goes a long way for me.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. What did you tell Clementine to do after she left?
I told her to meet Krista and Omid by I think it was the train station.
Yeah, or the docks, or
the
wherever.
docks.
Yeah.
I think I said the train station.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
Yeah, and it made me sadder to tell her that, knowing what's gonna happen right away in the first episode of season 2.
Which I actually don't remember. Well, I remember the first episode
okay.
of season 2, but I don't remember 400 Days very well. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I only remember one part of 400 Days, and it's the Bonnie episode, because Bonnie's the only character really that is given any kind of meat in the story in season 2.
Sure.
But yeah, and then I like the final, not only like shooting Lee, but the final moment where you and her have to cooperate to take out the zombie in the police station. It's just, again, it's like a really nice exclamation mark on not only Clementine's arc, but Lee's as well, trying to mentor her into taking care of herself, where it's like a final bit of advice, especially if she screws up with, if you reprimand her for having you inside the building after you get out of the hotel, you can tell her like, oh, don't get trapped, always be out in the open. And it's like, if you decide to tell her that, that's something that she could take to heart later on in the season 2, which I don't remember if that ever comes back, but it's cool for that moment.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I really just don't have many complaints about this episode, really. It's just,
yeah, me neither.
It moves quickly, smoothly. It's focused, on point the whole time. It climaxes beautifully, ends on a great little semi-cliffhanger that I think is tantalizing and mysterious and compelling, and that's it. Like, I mean, it's a great finale.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, are we really on our top 5 already?
I think so.
Wow.
I mean, I think this episode just kind of, it clips. Like, that's it.
We're just like the episode, short and sweet. So what's your top 5 for this week?
All right, so now I've got Batman episode 1 at number 5. Then Walking Dead episode 1, Walking Dead episode 2, then Batman episode 2, and my new number 1 is this one.
Not including the latest episode of Batman, which we'll talk about next week.
Which I have not played yet.
Oh, it's so good. So good. I only have one big problem with it, but it's still really, really good. But yeah, my number 5 is Walking Dead season 1, episode 3, and then. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. No. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm looking at. I didn't put episode 4 in there yet. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So, episode. Why am I looking at this all weird? No, yeah. episode number 5. Yeah, episode 1, A New Day. There we go. Number 4 would be episode 1 of Batman. Number 3 would be episode 2 of Batman. Number 2 would be episode 2 of The Walking Dead. And the new number 1, like Jordan, is episode 5.
Yeah, I think it's tough to argue with that one at this point.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've seen people say that like the first episode is the best out of all of them.
That's ridiculous.
Which is either the common consensus I've seen is either it's mostly episode 1 or episode 3 is the best one. And
episode 3 is the worst.
Yeah, I initially believed episode 3 was the best, but I'm like,
oh no, man. Oh, there are so many problems with the midsection of this season.
Yeah.
Whether it's glitches or puzzles or whatever, like funneling, it's really noticeable the second time around.
Yeah. It's noticeable too when you played everything else that they've ever done.
Right. You can see the formula peeking through, and you can see the kind of freshman quirks, like that they hadn't really figured out yet.
It's a transitional game for them, which is it's great. It has some great moments, but it still has those old kinks in the system that they haven't quite gotten out yet. So what do you think of season 1 overall? That's like what is your opinion on it now overall compared to when you first played it?
I think it's important for Telltale as a developer.
Mm-hmm.
I think they learned a lot of things that they would go on to do better, I would argue, probably.
Sure.
I don't love it like I did the first time I played it.
Yeah.
I think its high points are still very high, but I think it has a lot more low points than I felt the first time around. And it has a lot more flaws and problems that take me out of it than I noticed the first time around. So I think it's a very good season, but I don't think it's a great season. I think it could have been if they had gotten over those, all the flaws and glitches we've talked about. If they had found a way to fix those or get around those, which they got better at later on.
Yeah.
But with those in mind, I can't completely love it like I used to.
Sure.
So I think it's very, very good, but not great.
Yeah, I have always considered this game one of like my very favorite games of all time. Like one of my the highlight of Telltale's career for many years now. And yeah, just not anymore. On either on either fronts. I still, like you said, I still really like it. I still think there are some tremendous high points, some of the very best of Telltale's career. But it's got some big, glaring, nasty problems that I can't put rose-tinted glasses on for. It's just, they're there. And especially going through Batman now, which is like day and night compared to this.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really do it for me as much anymore, which sad, but
I think as we go through these, as we have like our top 5 episodes, we should also like rank the seasons as we go.
Let me see what else. Let's see.
I mean, there's only one so far, but
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think overall how many they've done from here until now. Like there's seasons 1, 2, and Michonne, and then Wolf Among Us, Tales from Borderlands, Game of Thrones, Minecraft, Batman. So 8. They've done 8 series so far, unless I'm forgetting something with season 3. So 9. So they're by the end of this year, they will have had 9 series out.
Yeah,
which
hopefully we'll get through all those.
Yeah, 9 series in 4 years. Wow,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I hear Batman's gonna be finished by December, so that's good. That's a big improvement.
I like how quickly they're getting that one out.
Yeah, I mean, even so, it's not as bad as other episodic series I've seen. Like,
yeah.
But yeah. So that, aside from 400 days, that completes season 1 of The Walking Dead.
Here we are.
Yeah. So, Jordan, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at @5th_opinion. How about you, Adam?
I am on Twitter as well at RazorBladeMango. And for once, I'm going to pull up our Twitter handle so we actually can tell people on the actual air what it is. So it's going to be at Telltale Pod on Twitter. So there's that.
Oh, you lost the A?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. A Telltale Pod. There we go. I'm still going to put the link in the video, which should be blindingly obvious where it is by that point. So, yeah, that was season 1 of The Walking Dead. Looking forward to... Are we going to do you want to do either 400 Days or Batman next week?
I think we should probably tackle Batman next week and then get to
Okay.
400 Days.
Yeah, because if I...
Or not next week, but
the week
next
after.
episode.
If I have to wait a month to talk about Batman, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
See ya.